So think of one stigma you plan to work with for this class, pretending that it's, we have many sessions to go. We will stick with that and apply what we learn into this population. And for this class, today's class, we will also have opportunity to apply theories, frameworks into a population you are concerned with.
So what folks do you guys plan to work with?
Children.
And then which stigma do you think would be with children?
Actually, it's lots of overlap, like even racism. It's like anti-Black racism. It's also an anti-Black stigma, anti-Chinese stigma. I'm Chinese, and in recent years, because of COVID also now people are pretty okay. But in the very beginning, many people are afraid of COVID. If I got COVID, I probably, people will have a different thinking of me. And there was an anti-Chinese stigma, maybe still. When they think of Chinese, they think of many things.
Yes, because you're saying because it originated from, some say the lab in Wuhan, China is where the virus originally came from. I hope I didn't use a signal. Did it freeze? So you have your... The thing is that if we have one online, everybody does.
Yeah, we have, if it's only one person can show in person, we can't, because it will show that some people have more advantage over the next, so we have to put them on.
Go ahead.
I think he's frozen.
I know, I think he might have, but we did at least have a student with a hand raised, and go ahead.
I was thinking mental health patients because the stigma for them is like they're seen as like crazy or like sick or not sick, but like they're seen as crazy or dangerous or whatever. I'm like, it's like, why can't they just do like
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
And then I want to work with children, at-risk youth children, and the stigma with them will be that they're judged to be at risk when they just need to be talked to. They don't need to be that.
Right. Yeah. Like, well, putting a diagnosis on them, or so like as social workers, we have the ability to diagnose with our license, and it kind of does put a judgment with that diagnosis. It's a form of judgment in a sense. That was one thought just brought up. Oh, you're on mute, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I personally cannot think of any social work populations without a stigma, like poverty coming from poor family, stigma, or even gender, like gender disparity, whatever. Yeah. If you think of the population, whichever population you are working with. Okay. Yeah, take a few minutes, and it's worth the time. Think about it, and I don't plan to teach lots of things without application. That's not social work. Social work, it's very practice oriented. It's a nature, part of the core of social work profession, social work discipline. Okay, so if you are still, if you are ready, you can type the same go everywhere link. Or if you still need some time, you still have some time. Okay, so I'm going to share Windows. Yes, I'm sharing a slide with title Lecture 11. Can you see that?
I know it will load. It's loading for a minute. Now we can see it.
Okay. Okay. So lots of things we can talk about stigma. When we talk about stigma, lots of things to explore. Today we are going to find out how does stigma produce negative health effects at interpersonal level. So stigma may impact people like personal level. I am self-stigmatized if I feel my identity as, for example, my personal experience as a Chinese during the pandemic. If I believe that people stigmatize against me because I'm Chinese, because somebody said COVID is a China virus, then I probably choose close my door and reduce my outings to the minimum. And also interpersonal level, even if I feel okay, but some people stigmatize at me, and also structural level, like policies and laws, we won't cover today. So today we are going to look at interpersonal level. So the goal is to evaluate different stigma mechanisms at the interpersonal level. Because as we've showed in the word cloud, when we think of stigma, lots of negative things. But how does stigma impact this person? What's the mechanism? Today we are going to look at interpersonal mechanisms. Look at interpersonal discrimination and interactional process, and the health consequences of the mechanisms. So the section won't be covered here in the class. If you have time, you can use stigma diary after the class to identify interpersonal and interactional process for the stigma you are working at. So I think a simple way is to think of the social work population you are working with, or you plan to work with, or you have a passion about it. Then think of the stigma and apply what we learn. So let's look at interactional process. So stigma emerges this in the back and forth between individuals in social interaction. We say there's stigma against HIV/AIDS, people living with HIV/AIDS. Well, it's not just stop there, because we have life. We human beings, we need to interact with other people. It's a day-to-day back and forth process. The stigma may impact on an individual. So this interpersonal, let me maximize the screen. Interpersonal, interactional process differs from direct interpersonal discrimination, like person A discriminates person B with, for example, with HIV/AIDS or with other types of conditions. Because the stigmatized person here in this interactional process, what we are looking at today is about an active participant in the interaction, focus on the dynamics that occurs between the stigmatized and the non-stigmatized. It's not just, oh, person A discriminate person B. That's true, but the dynamics is more nuanced. We will find out more later. So also points to the psychological consequences for, I'm not moving. So also the stigmatized, how they manage social interactions with non-stigmatized people. In both cases, we are interested in understanding how the stigmatized individuals experience, negotiate, and sometimes push back in daily social interactions with non-stigmatized individuals. Go next. Oh, it's not working very well. I have to go. Okay. So I have two videos. Let me share. Or can Professor Tross, can I send you the link and you play it online? Maybe safer, easier.
Yes, I can see if I can, maybe from the chat, I could click on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, because things may happen when we use these platforms where the chat.
Okay.
So where's the chat function? Let me see.
On ours, it's the very top.
Okay, yeah. Chat. Okay. Type a message. Okay.
Okay.
You watch.
Click.
From the beginning, it's very short.
Okay. Making sure it's not. So this is where the sound may have gotten us in trouble. I don't know if the sound wants to play with us today.
You might have to go. Share this on which one?
I think it's more just like it doesn't recognize. I feel like we had this last time in the class.
Maybe I put it on my side and
Oh, wait a
try.
minute. What if we do it like this? Take it off here.
You can try. Yeah, if you play it on your side, it might actually do better because
Yeah, we never know. That's the drawback of technology. So are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
YouTube
Yes,
page?
we do.
Okay, let's see whether the sounds work here. Okay. So about self-fulfilling prophecy, many people talk about that, but actually there's science in that, and scientific research. We will find out what does the scientific research say about self-fulfilling prophecy.
You may have heard the term self-fulfilling prophecy before.
Okay, the sound is okay.
Yes, it is. It's perfect.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you. Can you guys
And
hear?
in fact, someone may have used that term without even knowing about the psychology behind it. But really, when psychologists talk about self-fulfilling prophecy, it's a way in which a schema has a huge impact on outcomes for a couple of reasons. The key behind self-fulfilling prophecy is that a schema that a person has for another person influences their expectations of that person, which then in turn influence the actual outcomes the person displays. That all sounds very theoretical and abstract. Let's give a concrete example. An early instance of self-fulfilling prophecy is what some people call the Pygmalion effect, but it was a study done in the 60s in which school teachers were given the roster of kids that they were going to have in their upcoming school year, but the manipulation was that at random, some of the kids are gifted and some of them were not marked gifted. This had nothing to do with the students themselves. It was totally at random who was marked gifted versus not. But the teachers were led to believe that some panel of experts had designated some students as being especially likely to do well than others. Now, the schema that a teacher would have about a gifted student lets them expect various things from the students who are marked gifted. So the schema now that comes to mind is that of accomplishing good things in class, being attentive, doing extra work, working really hard. Those are what's associated with the schema of a gifted student, which leads those teachers to expect that the students marked gifted will do well in their class. Now, here's where self-fulfilling prophecy kicks in. Because at the end of the school year, when you look at the actual test scores of the students in this experiment, the kids who had been randomly marked gifted at the beginning of the year got better scores at the end of the year than kids who hadn't been marked gifted. How could this be? It was totally random. Those kids weren't actually more gifted objectively than the other students. So how could this have happened? Well, the answer lies in the fact that the teachers would have ended up treating the gifted students differently than the non-gifted students. Because they expected the group marked gifted to do better, they would give them more opportunities, more chances to succeed, because they expected from their schema that they would end up doing better anyway. So they changed their own behavior toward them based on their expectations. And what happens when you give people more opportunity to succeed? They're then more likely to succeed as a consequence. So half the kids were randomly given more attention during the school year because of a schema these teachers had about gifted students that didn't even apply to those kids. And then those kids ended up doing better because they had had more opportunities. This effect has been shown in lots of different ways. In fact, in a free course I have on Udemy, you can see a specific study from.
Okay. So now we have a better understanding of so-called self-fulfilling prophecy, that what's going on. If we say, oh, this is a smart student, gifted student, then it turned out to be randomly assigned. The outcome would be that they do better. Yeah, but if the teachers and the students themselves believe, oh, I'm not gifted, I'm even a bad student, then it turns out to be they do not so well. So, and another interesting video is that is about this Pygmalion effect, even on your looking. If you believe your partner is beautiful, somebody is beautiful, attractive, then they will become more attractive. Another interesting video. Are you seeing another screen?
Yes.
Different screen?
We do, yeah.
Replay.
There's a Greek myth about a sculptor, Pygmalion, carved a wood out of ivory. The statue became so realistic and beautiful that Pygmalion fell in love and started treating it like a real woman. He brought it gifts like pretty seashells and songbirds, dressed it in fine clothes and jewelry, and even talked to it. And after a while, the statue, with Aphrodite's help, responded by coming to life. This, of course, is pure fantasy, but the science suggests that it's easier to sculpt another person than you think. All you need, active people, are more outgoing, warm, and interesting. In the 1970s, psychologists tested the power of the stereotype. They set up 10-minute phone calls between men and women who had never met. Hello. They showed each man a picture of a woman and said, "This is who you're talking to." But it wasn't. The photo was of someone else, someone either attractive or unattractive. Psychologists wanted to know, Would believing someone was attractive actually change her personality? The short answer was yes. If you listened to just the women's side of the call, you could hear it. Regardless of their actual personality or looks, women believed to be attractive did become more likable and friendly. We call this the Pygmalion effect, when an expectation in one group, women believed to be unattractive, became colder and more awkward. Experiments like this show us how powerful expectations can be. Even if they're never said out loud, our beliefs can become self-fulfilling prophecies. That Pygmalion fell in love.
So, yeah, after watching these short videos, what do you think? Any new thoughts? Yeah,
Online
I'd like
dating.
to invite our class in the classroom.
What do you guys think? Like with online dating, you could put up a fake profile and
Yeah. So any
They said what was his question? And what he asked.
like in terms of this study that was in the 70s where they just put up a picture of either an attractive person or an unattractive person, and they measured how well the person talked and laughed and engaged with them. It's called the Pygmalion effect.
yeah, I think you probably heard of that, but
Or why do we take our best picture and put it on our online dating profile? You know what I mean? You're not going to take a picture where you don't think you look good for dating. I don't know. Maybe some people do.
I am a very so anything surprise you or impress you or any new thoughts how you interact with other people or about yourself? Yeah.
Done. Like, are we likely to connect with a good-looking counselor, social worker, or somebody who might not be? Like, there are some studies on that.
I would have to connect with an ugly social worker.
Okay, right,
Honestly.
right.
Yeah,
Because
I'll be distracted.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to be one to get help.
So you'd rather have-
Not the right help.
You would pick the non-attractive social worker or counselor. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to be in there like,
Yeah.
hey, you cute.
Like trying to get like primped up for a session. Okay, okay.
Yeah. Or like
I'm a lie about what's going on. I don't got nothing going on. I don't know why you here.
Right.
I'm adorable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they're too good looking, the counselor or social worker, the student said they might lie to them and maybe see if you could break the code of ethics and take them out on the
Definitely
date.
trying to break the code of ethics.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But with the social workers, nurses, doctors, these professionals, maybe another person could look at about the credibility. You say, oh, I'm social work with 10 years experience, so many hours, with LICSW, senior.
Mhm.
And when someone talk with me, they may feel I am professional, of course, but if they believe in my credibility, believe in my experience, and versus the same person, I show as like a new graduate, intern, I'm the same person, but if the client were given different profile of me, the outcome could be very different, I imagine, I guess. But we can do a research like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it takes lots of things. It's an important factor in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to come back. Thank you for your contributions. Very interesting topic. Are you seeing my slides again?
It says click to exit full screen right now, but
Okay. So I can. Okay.
now we see it.
Yes. Oh.
Well, now we see you.
Okay, I will share screen again,
Okay.
probably. Yeah. Okay, coming up. Do you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. You. So it's people have noticed this phenomenon for ages, and in everyday life we talk about this self-fulfilling prophecies. At the same time, we have scientific evidence to support that, to explain that. For example, there's a study conducted in 1986. So randomly assigned receiver and the target. So the target randomly assigned to one of two conditions. Receiver was either told that the target was from the psychotherapy clinic at the college, or a fellow student in the introductory psychology class. So I think this is about the stigma to psychological of receiving some psychotherapy. Now it has changed, I believe, but still maybe not everyone openly say, "Oh, I'm receiving therapy." Many more and more stereotypes. So the target is unaware of the experimental manipulation. Perceivers complete questionnaires on initial impressions before the meeting. The targets complete questionnaires of impression after the interaction, and then 10 minutes structured getting acquainted exercise. Like talk about your hobby, classes, activities. Then, so the perceivers view targets less favorably if, for example, more reserved, boring, awkward, cruel, insecure, when they were believed to be clients, the non-clients, to be students receiving therapy. And behaviors during the conversation were judged by independent raters as behaving in a more negative manner, less open, secure, sensitive, likable, and more cruel and sociable towards client targets, the non-client targets. So it's randomly assigned. Actually, it's not true. But when the perceivers told that they are interacting with someone receiving counseling, receiving therapy, they believe they are less favorable. At the same time, the target's behaviors are also evaluated. So the client target's impression, they view the conversation less favorably, enjoy the conversation less, were less comfortable, believe they were perceived less accurately than non-client targets. And behaviors. Client targets behavior was affected as well, even though they were randomly assigned conditions. They were judged by the independent raters who didn't know about the assignment, the random assignment, to be less open and secure, less successful, and to behave in less socially desirable ways than non-client targets. This behavior confirmed the perceiver's negative initial impression of the client target's self-fulfilling process. So let's do a small activity. Take 3 to 5 minutes, depending on needs. Enlarge it. To apply this framework to the population you are working with or you plan to work with, you have a concern or passionate about. Like this framework, you have a belief. They, for example, like, but it's, yeah. Sorry, but there people generally believe, for example, believe that many wrong beliefs, but exist. For example, like Asian, like Chinese, I'm Chinese, study in the US, and people believe that Chinese are very good at math. Actually, I'm not very good, but they believe. You know, when I'm taking statistics class, they believe, and I kind of also believe that I do better probably. But some people, I won't do well. Some certain populations, there's also belief that, for example, gender difference. Men do better at this. Women, if believe, then they have different expectations, behavior, different results. Then the beliefs got reinforced. Okay, so take a few minutes to apply the population you have chosen in the beginning. How self-fulfilling prophecy.
A population you've studied this semester, maybe a homeless population, and like stereotypes or beliefs about them.
Yeah, if you have whatever way, a paper or your
yeah, like the homeless population, maybe you think they smell, maybe you think they don't have much money.
But we said that black people eat chicken. That's not true.
Okay.
Like stereotypes.
Right. Yes. And then
All black people smoke weed.
okay.
Richard.
And then how behaviors reinforce that, or
They said they heard stereotypes. One said that all black people eat chicken. What you say?
All black people smoke weed.
All black people smoke marijuana. All black people are unprofessional. These are some of the stereotypes that they hear about African American people, black people. What else y'all heard? Anything else y'all want to share?
A lot of males are threatening, like if you got dreads or things like that, or cars. Like if you got certain cars, you're a threat.
Or that all black men are dead. That's not true.
so yes, they came up with a lot of
yes.
examples, beliefs, and
Yes, thank you. I'm hearing. Can someone use the example and go around this circle? This population, belief, expectation, behavior, results. Can someone from the class share?
do you see how some people reinforce those beliefs or ideas, or make it better or worse with some of the thoughts being expressed? Or is anybody willing to?
I think we know how we say some social media platforms are bad. I think with
Anyone
seeing different people with different
can go all around the circle. What kind of what population? What kind of beliefs? What kind of expectation? What kind of behavior? Yes.
She was saying.
So, I think with different social media platforms showing people with different lifestyles, I think with like, what I say?
Different social media platforms.
Sorry. I think with different social media platforms, us seeing different people in different lifestyles and seeing how people dress and seeing different people cultures, it helps us.
Yeah.
It makes it better.
Give us a clearer understanding and make us not judge right off the bat.
Anybody else? Hot mic.
Thank you.
Did she touch on it?
What's it?
Thank you.
So, like, if we're afraid of approaching a homeless guy downtown, you think they're going to ask us for money, so we like walk an extra block to circumvent them, and
Yeah.
it makes our behaviors different because we're like
Yeah.
avoiding them.
Yeah.
Or like when we driving and we see like homeless people,
Yeah. That they get more frustrated.
but I
If they are taking,
so where we
Yeah.
just be driving down the road, it's just a whole bunch of homeless people just standing right there on the side. We just turn our head or turn the radio up or.
We ignore the homeless by
So the light change.
driving by.
That with the Muslims, not Muslims.
yeah.
The people that stand on the corner and give you like they pay for
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, avoiding Jehovah's Witnesses when they knock on your door.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can. This. Yeah, it's both. Like someone said, social work is both sense and sensitivity. It seems okay, everybody knows, but there's a science. There's science.
Mm-hmm.
It's like and lots of research has been done and need to be done. And based on the we of course we work with the clients with our empathy, understanding, relationship, of course, but we also work with evidence and supported by scientific research. Let's go to teaching the class together. I probably have distributed the readings ahead of time. So it seems this research was done in 1990. It seems out of dated, but actually not. I selected them because they are important, key, very famous studies, and not out of dated even today. So this interactional process research done by Fribo et al. Is 5 minutes covertly taped interaction between the stigmatized participant, both visible and concealable groups, and a non-stigmatized participant. So a visible maybe like people with a certain like feature, like with a scar on the face, or the weight, the color of the skin, or something. You cannot conceal it. Some are concealable, like people living with HIV/AIDS. Generally speaking, they can hide it or something. So the primary research question, are stigmatized individuals more mindful than non-stigmatized individuals during social interactions? So their memory of specific details about interaction, spontaneous recall task of everything the participants could remember about the partner, their conversation, their experiment, and the experimental room. Q recall tasks, where they also answered 10 questions about their partner's appearance and behavior. For example, what are they wearing? And the room, what color was the floor? Oh, flower pot or anything. Subjects, thoughts and feelings during the interaction. This points of investigation. Completed thought and feeling from as they watch the videotape of the interaction, independently coded for whether the thought feeling represented the subject's or the partner's perspective. So that the study design is this. So 5-minute taped interaction between a stigmatized participant and a non-stigmatized participant. So what do you guess? We will, define out something, but what do you guess? Do you think that the stigmatized would be more mindful in the interaction? For example, remember more details, take their partner's perspectives than non-stigmatized? If so, why? And do you think that individuals with concealable and visible stigmas would be more mindful of the same details or different details? Why? The two questions. A comparison between stigmatized and non-stigmatized. Are they different in being mindful in the interaction? And a comparison between individuals with concealable and visible stigma. So what do you guess?
Are stigmatized people more mindful or non-stigmatized people more mindful during like an interaction if you were filming it?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Are stigmatized individuals more mindful, or are the non-stigmatized individuals more mindful and able to recall parts of the conversation, like as they were filmed, like what they were wearing, what color the flower pot behind them was, things? Who do you think is more mindful, stigmatized or non-stigmatized?
Stigmatized.
And then why?
I think that is more reliable because they're traumatized by the experience, so they know what happened, how it happened, when it happened, why it happened, because they was in that experience. Whereas somebody viewing it can forget the littlest things that may have accelerated the situation, whereas the victim will remember the slightest thing that changed it from normal to like a dance.
Were you able to hear that, Dr. Sai?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Most of it.
Okay.
Not the same as if I were in the classroom. I hope I could be in the classroom with you soon at some point.
Absolutely.
How about, thank you. Thank you. And how about the comparison between people with concealable and visible stigmas?
So sometimes you can hide a stigma about you, and sometimes you can't. Which one do you think is more mindful or more powerful? Like if you're able to hide it. I think the example he gave was like a big scar, like if you got in a knife fight and had scars, or you're able to cover it up somehow. Or I can't think of other examples.
He said if someone conceal it or if it's visible, like what makes the difference? Like if somebody's hiding it, or if somebody just blatantly like showing it. Like
What's the difference?
Is it still like, will they still be stigmatized? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah.
I feel like it is hidden.
I feel like it depends on what it is. Like, let's say it's a disability. People with disabilities are stigmatized. And like, if this is something that they can cover up, like, I don't know, they have like a trick or something they could put on the scarf or something like that. So that maybe people wouldn't treat them differently. But if it's something like you're in a wheelchair, I can keep you in a wheelchair. So then obviously they're gonna make a difference.
Yes, another one for me that comes to mind. I don't know if anybody's seen this new series called The Chosen that's come out, and it's actually about the life of the disciples and Jesus. And there's this one filming, and they have one of the disciples, I think his name is James. And when the dude was trying out for the part, he had cerebral palsy and has a visible limp. And usually he'll try out for the part and he'll get it, or they'll see him walk onto the interview stage, and then he's used to the disappointment of where they just don't give him the part because he has a visible limp from cerebral palsy. And for whatever reason, on the films, it's like the past few years, it's like the 3 years when Jesus is out giving his message. The guy who had cerebral palsy went and interviewed to become the disciple James, and he was ready to get kicked out. Like, oh, dude, you can't even walk straight. We don't want you on this show. But the opposite happened, and he was actually hired, and they used it. And in the middle of the series, they even show an interaction it's when they say that all 12 disciples have to go out and like teach and preach to everybody. And he's like, so I'm supposed to go out and heal people, and I have a freaking limp. And like, there's a pretty powerful scene where he's like, like if you can show that you still believe, even though you do have this visible stigma about you, how much stronger will the message be to folks that like are listening? It was kind of an interesting breakdown, and that was an example I'm thinking of. I hope I'm on the right track with it.
Yes, great. Thank you, Professor Paul. Yeah, let's see what did the research find out. So they found out that the participant with concealable and visible stigmas were more mindful than the non-stigmatized respondents, but in different ways. For the people with concealable stigma, more likely to make comments in the thoughts, feelings, record that took place, other person's perspectives. For example, I think she feels uncomfortable when we don't talk, or made more frequent references to the conversation, more likely to spontaneously recall information about what their partner said. For people with visible stigma, they made few references to the conversation and remembered correct, indicating they were more attentive to the nonverbal details about the room and the partner's appearance and behavior. So people with concealable stigma, they pay more attention to the content, to the conversation. People with visible stigmas pay more attention to the details, the appearance of the environment. So what are the implications for understanding the psychological and social experience of stigmatized during interactions with individuals who are not stigmatized? So for people with stigmas, focusing on the conversation is important to manage and monitor information about their stigma, which is self-protective because it allows people to negotiate potentially problematic social interactions, and if necessary, to flexibly respond as the situation unfolds. Yet, vigilance may come with a psychological cost, right? You are always alert. That has a psychosocial cost. For example, cognitive depletion, that you add the cost. So for people with visible stigmas, because of norms not to appear prejudiced, conversation may not provide accurate information about the true feelings, attitudes of their partners. Instead, full non-verbal cues may be a more reliable indicator, which is also self-protective, yet may come at a social cost in initiating peer relationships conversation. So, like people with visible stigmas, they choose not to initiate peer relationships. That's also a huge cost that you see we see. At least when I was studying, I enjoyed the course. I was enlightened to see how biopsychosocial factors interact with each other. So in the end, we can see that people have different health outcomes. There is another study. Let me. For time's sake, this session the lecture can stop here, and I'd like the class to have excuse me, Professor Cross, how many are in the classroom?
11?
11?
14.
Good. Yeah, good. So maybe in a group, two or three, you can share about what you learned, share with your partner what you learned from this class, and most importantly, how this can be applied to your work. Maybe you are having an internship or in the future work as a social worker. Okay, about 5 minutes. So am I right that we are going to finish? The class ends 3:45.
Correct. Yes, that's correct.
So we can have 5 minutes for discussion and 5 minutes to report back.
Okay.
Thank you. In pairs or in three?
Outline that people come in from different backgrounds, but everything that people do doesn't apply to everybody.
And you got field coming up soon.
You ain't paying attention, that's what.
Field practicum.
Yeah. What class?
You're back from appeal.
Appeal, did I hear back? Or you heard about it? I didn't either. He just said.
He said they he said
So I don't know what that means.
that's good.
What does that mean?
That's good.
So I won't be taking a class.
So what's the key thing to the way?
No. Oh, you dropped it?
I didn't drop it.
She didn't drop it?
Because I didn't know whether that was gonna go or not.
Right.
Yeah. I know it's things. I know I just did my class. She told me to make sure I was 75%.
Wait a minute.
So you have to be.
I don't know, I guess. Hopefully.
Maybe send an email.
She's the man.
She said that.
To be honest. She's not even trying to work.